What's going on, party people? This is part one of my college experience, and these are just a few things. Part one is just more so anonymous, random stories that kind of happened throughout the course of my college career. Had a lot of fun in college, met a lot of people that I still, that I still speak to today. I say even more so than my high school friends. I think when you go to college, those are the most ambitious people you're gonna meet. Not to say my high school friends wasn't that ambitious, but usually, unless somebody has some type of plan already, like they know they want to join a trade school, or they know they want to start a business, or they know exactly what company they want to work for. The most ambitious people that don't necessarily have a direction, they go to college. Again, a lot of them I still speak to today. My high school friends, I haven't really seen them around so much. Once you grow up, you don't really see too much of anybody, but I go on my Facebook, I see them doing things, having kids, getting married, just living life, and getting to that next phase of life. We adults now, as crazy as it sounds. I still feel as young as I felt when I was a child, which is kind of crazy to me. But anyway, my point being, one thing that I did was, like a lot of college students, I lived on campus. I went to a school in my home state. Rhode Island's so small that everybody's connected in somehow, some way. Especially Providence, it ain't even 6 degrees of separation. It's like 4, maybe even 2. I had to get out of Providence. That's all I knew. I didn't care if it was just a 30-minute drive, depending how fast you're going. As long as I was out, away from my house, away from my family, I was cool. I lived on campus for about 4 years. Now, the interesting thing about that is that I only paid for it for 2 years. By that time, I had made so many friends, and I knew so many people. I was able to finesse my way into staying in the dorm. Sometimes certain students wouldn't show up. Sometimes they'll show up, but then they're never in the room, and eventually they just stop coming. I mean, all type of things will happen that you might end up being a roommate down or a roommate less. I'm gonna start off with my freshman year. So freshman year, I was in the Heathman Hall. By the way, I went to URI, by the way. I know I didn't even say that, but URI freshman year, 2006, I was in Heathman. I had a bunch of wild, crazy experiences that I'm going to explain in a later video. But as far as just the living on campus part of it, it was a lot of fun, being on the college. I mean, the whole college experience, man, it was dope, man. I can't front. My first year freshman, Heathman, man, I was in for a lot of surprises. It was a cool dorm to live in. It would end up being newsworthy. I had a lot of fun experiences in there. And I actually came back later on for my junior year. So I actually lived in that dorm 2 years. And in the year between that, my sophomore year, I think it was called Coddington. The dorm that is right, it's like across the parking lot from Rhodey Market. It's like right behind right where the library is. There's a dorm right there. Between the library and between Hope. I think it's good. I ain't been there so long, I forgot. Damn, that graduated 7 years ago. And that, matter of fact, my bad. I mean, let me go back to my freshman year. Freshman year, I was supposed to have 2 roommates, me and 2 other friends. One, my friend who we went to high school together, my boy Jose. But Jose ended up failing TD, talent development, which is it was like a pre-college program where we went there. We got to earn college credits. We had to take classes. And getting into URI was dependent on, making it past this program, passing the 3 classes that they gave us. My boy failed, so he wasn't able to beat it. So it's like 3 roommates, a bathroom, and another 3 roommates. It was a suite. And on the other side, I had 2 other friends I went to high school with. There's another random white guy. And then my roommate was another random white guy, and this guy was, to me, I mean, at the time, I'm coming straight out the hood. Like I'm used to hood niggas and hood chicks, and I'm around this white guy who's probably from like an upper middle class area, and he was just real weird to me. I'm like, this guy is funny style. Like, I thought he was gay, At the time, that's just my immaturity. I don't know if he's gay, but he was just very he probably was more so like one of those drama. He probably was in like the drama class, probably did like theater and shit like that. The first day we met him, this guy belted out into a song. Like, like this motherfucker belted into a song, and I was just like, what the fuck? My boys just sitting there just laughing their asses off. And I'm just like, yo, this guy is fucking weird. Luckily for me, though, he ended up not really being there for much of the semester. And the funny thing is, his mom knew my mom. They worked together at like the nursing place or whatever. So, I remember the first day we went to not orientation, but the first day we moved in, they seen each other, they're talking, and I found out later on that the reason he didn't stay in the room was because he felt my energy. He knew I didn't really rock with him like that. So it probably made things a little weird for my mom and her friend at that point. But I was just a young, immature dude. I didn't really know no better. I was just a product of my environment at that point. You know what I'm saying? Shit was just crazy. But so anyway, I ended up having a room to myself the whole year. So that was amazing. And even second semester, luckily nobody moved in. I had a solo room for the whole year. I mean, can't ask for much better than that. And the beautiful thing about it was, even though he never stayed in the room, he left a lot of things there. He left the television. He left a microwave. I stayed using that stuff. And it was like around like the last couple days or weeks of the semester, and he just came back and like a ghost. He came back like a ghost, took all that shit and bounced. And when I came back to the room, I'm like, fuck, I'm TV-less and I'm microwave-less, and I'm you know what I'm saying? But luckily it was only, the semester was about to end, so it was all good. Ended up getting my own stuff the next year, chilling out. Having that solo room my first year, 3 beds. We stay having our friends. We had some high school friends that used to come up and chill with us. They would stay there. We just had all type of crazy adventures. Yeah, so that was Heathman freshman year. Second year at Coddington, or Barlow. Was it Barlow? Yeah, it might have been Barlow. That's probably the name of it. I don't remember. This is so long ago. This is like 10, 11 years ago. This time I had a real solo room. It was like a real small, compact, one-person room. I had gotten used to the solo life, living in isolation to a certain degree. My boy lived down the hall, my boy Bert. Honestly, sophomore year wasn't that cool, But as far as the living situation, another year by myself. I'm thinking like, yeah, I got my own room. I'm finna have mad girls through here, and never. Not one. Not at all. Never happened. It was whatever. Just a young, shy kid. Not really. Didn't know how to finesse it the right way. I didn't know how to use my powers of persuasion or my incredibly good looks to get these chicks to bring them back. So it was what it was. It was another wasted year. So anyway, those are the first 2 years my mom paid for. By that time, she had refinanced her mortgage to pay for the college, so she really couldn't pay it anymore. And at first she was paying for me and my sister. My sister was there freshman year. She ended up like failing out. My mom shut that down, so she stopped going to college. URI. So now I'm up there by myself, holding it down for the family. After that, she's just like, I can't pay for the college dorm no more. You're going to have to either just be off campus or just figure something out. And I'm like, all right, well, by that time, I got 2 years on campus. I know mad different people. I'm Gucci. So third year, as I said, a friend of mine was living in Heathman. Actually, my boy Jake. Jake was living in Heathman. He didn't even pay for that shit neither. He lived with another friend. And I was over there one day, and we're just walking through the hallways. We went to my other boy's dorm. My boy Q, shout out to Q. We went to his room, and come to find out he was in a 2-person room, but his roommate either never showed up or they never assigned it. So I'm like, yo, you got an extra bed here? I'm like, yo, you mind if I stay here? Like, I ain't got no room. I'm trying to find it. And he was like, yeah, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Again, shout out to my boy Q, man. Junior year, it was lit. Funny thing is, we end up getting bagged because my dumb ass, I see the white girls across the hall. I'm telling them, like, yeah, I'm the new roommate. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming in there. I'm over here trying to holler at them, messing around. These dumb ass bitches go and tell the RA, like, yeah, did you meet the new roommate? And then the RA comes. So you're the new roommate. And I was just like, oh, fuck. So obviously, the funny thing about it was I did everything as if I was a new roommate. I did the whole hall meetings, and I went to all of that. And eventually she did some research to find out, wait, we didn't get no extra roommates in there. But the funny way that she found out about it was because one night, this nigga Jake, he sees us. This is some cute white girl. So he wants to holler at her. He's like, yo, take me over there. And I'm just like, all right, man, whatever. Just go knock on the door. She's cool. And he's just like, nah, come with me. Like, you know her. She don't know me. So we go over there. This nigga went and so we're in there talking. This nigga's trying to holler at her. It was just a weird situation, man. Some people will call it rape culture. Not saying nothing happened or anything crazy like that, but he's basically hopping in the bed like, yo, let's go to sleep. Let's go. I'm like, yo, does this nigga realize that I'm in here as well? And she's looking at the situation from this standpoint of like, I got this is a white girl, mind you, who probably didn't grow up around black people, trying to be nice, but she's saying that I got 2 black guys in my room. One's sitting there talking about, oh, let's go to, he's saying all these sexual innuendos, not really realizing things from her point of view. There's 2 black guys in a room. There's nothing with us being black, but just 2 guys in her room, and one of them's trying to, send sexual innuendos towards her. And as a woman, she may feel a little afraid, like, yo, if these guys wanted to fuck me, they could. Like, they could just do whatever they wanted to me right now. So I started feeling a little weird about it. I'm just like, yo, this guy's bugging. You know what I'm saying? I like, even though he didn't really mean nothing by it, he's not perceiving the situation from a girl's point of view. And I think a lot of us, I think that's what rape culture is, which is guys not perceiving things from a woman's point of view and not being able to see that women are afraid. I seen it with my mom. My mom, it's time she would come in the house, there'll be a light on in the kitchen. Like, I'll be in there watching TV, eating or whatever. And she's like, who's that? She said, when I was younger, I was like, the fuck is wrong with this chick? Like, as I got older, I realized that, women live in a male-dominated world, and they're afraid sometimes. If they don't have a man to protect them, that they feel like, okay, this man has me, they're going to be afraid. They know that men are stronger than them. Men can do whatever they want. So, and I didn't realize this till years later. I didn't even start having this type of thinking till years later. But in that situation, I felt weird about it, because I'm like, it's like 2 guys in her room. She's looking at it like, oh man, these guys, what did they come here for? So I'm like, I'm gonna, I think it's getting late. I'm about to get out of here. I don't want to hate on him, so let me move myself out of the situation. Maybe if it's just the two of them, she'll perceive it differently. But by that time, she goes, oh yeah. It's getting late. Yeah, I think I'm about to go to bed. So clearly she wanted us to get the hell out of there. We left. So I want to say like the next day, my boy Q, she wrote something long. She went and filed a complaint with room and board, basically telling Q, because since I wasn't supposed to be there, telling him that there was an unauthorized person in his room, and if that person didn't leave, he would be kicked out. Also, she wrote a lengthy, like a 2-3 page book report talking about the whole situation in her room, how she felt uncomfortable. My young mind at the time, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this chick? Like, now I understand what she was feeling at that time, but I mean, it was just a crazy situation. And so from that point on, needless to say, I didn't leave. I didn't step out the room. But what I did do was I was a lot more careful. The funny thing, the girls across the hall, they kind of realized what they did by telling the RA that I was supposed to be there. Well, again, that was my fault for telling them in the first place, acting stupid. I should have just been like, oh, no, this is my boy. I'm just here from time to time. So they didn't think they was doing nothing wrong. But they started avoiding me, too, because they kind of seen what happened, realized I wasn't supposed to be there, and realizing they're the ones who told. So they probably thought I would be upset, and they started avoiding me. So what I did was I was on some ninja shit. Like, I was on some Splinter Cell shit, some spy shit. I'm checking around the corners, making sure anyone's there. Then I'm running to the door, tapping in the passcode real quick, hopping in the room. I'm staying out of the room as much as I can throughout the day, only going in there when I really need to. I pretty much just live life, on some spy shit, just sneaking around. So I still stayed in the room. I made sure she never seen me. She might have seen me like one time after that whole situation, and that was only because we was like walking through the dorm, and then she sees me, and I completely avoided all eye contact. I don't want to look at her, nothing. My boy, it was like, oh, she was smiling. I don't know. That to me kind of told me at the time what I thought was that she knew we was good guys. She knew we wasn't gonna do anything to her, but she wanted to use her white privilege or her women privilege to kind of make us look crazy. But, we made it through the year. We never got bagged. Nothing ever happened about it. I still lived there. Everything went smoothly. And so I just avoided the hell out of her, basically. So, I mean, that was junior year. Senior year, another one of my friends in another freshman dorm. I spent, out of the 4 years I lived on campus, I spent 3 of them living in freshman dorms. By the time that you start getting to like an upperclassman, you kind of start knowing how to maneuver around the campus, and you get to choose you get first choice on what dorm you want to live in. So most people are living with their friends. Their situation isn't like a freshman. Freshmen may come in and all them things, like I said earlier, you got people just not showing up or just never being in the room. So another friend of mine ended up having a free room. A friend that I grew up with stayed there. Actually, matter of fact, this was Barlow. Sophomore year was Coddington. I'm getting all type of confused over here, but this shit was mad long ago. I don't remember. But, oh, man. Barlow was dope. All type of beautiful women walking all around that dorm. Freshman chicks. By this time, I'm a senior living with bad freshmen and shit. But it's college, so you can't really tell. And plus, I look young as well, so not right now, but this is before my beard and all that. I had the baby face. Nobody could really tell the difference, so they thought I was just another freshman. This was, it was a cool year. Nothing really went down, except the one time I stopped smoking. This one I realized, I thought when you smoked outside, you was good. Nobody would smell it. You come back in, you good. But then this is when I first realized that when you smoke, even if it's outside, the smoke stays on you. So when I walked in back in the dorm, my boy comes in, he's like, yo, the whole hallway smells like weed. And I was like, oh shit. So I started thinking of all the different times I smoked outside and then walked inside. I was smelling like weed the whole time. I'm thinking I'm slick. Come to find out, everybody knows I'm smoking. And then, so that was a funny situation. But that year was a cool year. Speak about it more in the next video. Check out part 2. It's probably like part 4, part 5, senior year. Anyway, that was my college living experience. Just my fifth year, my second senior year, I lived off campus, and I just drove back and forth. By that time I had like a good job. I was getting paid the most money I had ever been paid. The commute wasn't much. It was nothing. I enjoyed it. I didn't, by that time I didn't even really want to live on campus. At that point you just want to finish school, do what you got to do, and be out of there. All the fun is left. A lot of your classmates either done dropped out, didn't make it, or the ones that's still there are completely focused on just graduating. So it really wasn't much for me to be doing living on that campus. Actually, you know what? I only lived there for the first semester. The second semester, me and my friend got into a little, he was a little upset about a bunch of different things. He wanted me to like start paying him to live there or whatever. And I was just like, fuck out of here, nigga. Your mom's paying for that shit. I ain't paying you shit. And, and I don't know, I might not have been the best roommate. I was a little young rude motherfucker. So senior year, second semester is actually when I first started living off campus, and then I just carried into my fifth year. Yeah, that was pretty much my living experiences on college campus. I mean, I got way more other stories, just the crazy stuff that happened. But as far as me living on campus in the dorms, I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on. I worked at the dining hall called Butterfield. That's where most people we go for breakfast. You know, the new dining hall that they built, Hope, it was only for like lunch and dinner. So Butterfield was the place everybody went for breakfast for the most part. And I worked over there. I was kind of embarrassed working it. I worked in the back washing dishes, but from time to time we would have to take the dishes, bring them and refill them outside. So then everybody's seeing you. You got this apron on. Luckily they let us wear hats instead of, you know, what is it called? The stocking, whatever that's just called. You got to wear on your head. The hairnet. You know what I'm saying? They just let us wear fitteds. I was working there, and what I would do, because again, I'm not living on campus, so I don't have a meal plan. No, I was living on campus. What am I saying? I was living on campus with no meal plan, you know, room and board, that stuff all goes together. I would pretty much sneak into work, pretend like I was working, just go eat. And then this one day, the lady at the front, she called me. I walked in there, I'm just going into work. She's like, okay. So I go start to eat. I should have went to the back, pretending like I was doing something, and then came back out. This time, I was just so lazy with it. I walked in, told her, and I just went right to go eat. She goes to snitch to my boss. My boss comes, sees me, and goes, when you finish eating, come talk to me. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. I knew exactly what was going to happen. And walked back there, and she let me have it. I mean, she didn't yell at me or nothing like that, but she was just like, you don't take this job seriously at all. You don't. Everyone else works their heart, works to the bone. You just come in and just slack off. One night you was here till like 1 a.m. You don't work hard at all. You don't do this. You don't do that. I was just like, damn. Tell me how you really feel. She's like, I'm gonna have to terminate your employment. You know, now you're stealing. Like you're coming in here acting like you're supposed to work and you're eating. That's stealing because you're not paying for this meal. So I'm gonna have to terminate your employment. Do you have anything to say? And I'm just like, nah. And that was my first time ever being fired. I was gonna get fired a time before that when I worked at Lowe's. You know, but the boss told me today, she was like, listen, you show up here one more time late and your ass is out of here. And the next day, the very next day, I showed up like a few minutes late, and I was just like, man, I ain't getting embarrassed. So I just bounced. I didn't even walk in that day. I just like, fuck that shit. And I just never came back. And my boy, he called me. He had to tell them that I wasn't coming back. And the funny thing is, he's the one who referred me for the job. But anyway, needless to say, I avoided the embarrassment of being fired. And then, I got fired at Butterfield. But honestly, it wasn't even that bad. I thought it would have been way more embarrassing. And it wouldn't be my first time getting fired. Yeah. That's Butterfield. Came and went. I don't even know how long I made it. I might have only been there like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. I think I got fired in like November. So I still had about damn near 2 months of a semester to go. I had to figure out a way to just eat every day. But I scrambled through. I always make it. I always do. That's what I love about myself. I'm scrappy. Like you can never hold me down. No matter what situation that goes down, I'm going to find a way. Also that year, my senior year, I was also selling weed. So that's how I made it. Selling bud on campus to handling the business. We had some great suppliers that year. I was selling weed from earlier that year, from the summertime. I was in the hood selling weed. And once we went on campus, I'm like, this is a perfect place, But I mean, by that time, there's probably a bunch of people on campus selling weed. But I remember this one batch we had. It was like this Kush had people on their backs, and when I started walking around, they looked at me as the man. You know what I'm saying? That weed was so good. Everybody was just like, yo, this the man right here. This the man with the bud. So that was a funny year. I don't think I even sold weed past I think by second semester I probably was done with it. Because that time I wasn't living on campus no more. So I'm not driving all the way from my house, from Providence to the campus just to sell somebody some weed. So I probably had quit. I had got a really good job at that time. There was no point in even selling weed no more. So, but like I said, even people from the hood was hearing about us on the campus. Like, that shit was crazy. Yeah, so that was my little brief weed selling experience. Oh, and it was the time where I got an unauthorized loan. And that happened because the lady just fucked up. I got like a $3,000 loan that I really wasn't supposed to get, but the lady made some kind of mistake and just gave it to me. My mom just asked me, hey, go there and see if you could get a loan. And I'm just like, well, I'm not a citizen or a permanent resident. You got to be either a citizen or a permanent resident to get a loan. I didn't have either one of those statuses. Honestly, the lady just messed up. And so I remember going there the following year trying to get another one. And she was just like, you wasn't even supposed to get that one. Somebody just made a mistake. But, my mom didn't have the money at the time. So the universe just blessed me, I guess. I did pay it off eventually. It got defaulted and went to all these different credit agencies. And I didn't have the money at the time. I got fired as soon as I graduated college. I got fired from my job. The second time I got fired, probably like a good month after I graduated. If that didn't work for so I got fired in June, didn't work again till like November. I got a second job in August. I was working 2 jobs, saved up my money, and paid it all off in one fell swoop. I don't owe any money. Shout out to my mom. She refinanced the mortgage and all that, so she was able to pay off all the bills. I definitely owe her everything. Yeah, so that's just my little miscellaneous college experiences. The more I think of it, the more because the more I'm reflecting on these things, more stories pop up. I'm gonna give y'all more. That's it for part 1. Check out the other parts. It's probably gonna be 6, and then gonna be 7 really. But the last one's gonna be more of a reflection on everything. But stay tuned. These are my memories. Holla at your boy. Peace.